Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of the platform Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, Jasmine Harden, and I'm here to create a space for Black minds, voices, and culture to thrive. Thank you for tuning in, and let's get into this episode. Hello. Welcome back to another episode on the platform Let's Talk About It. Thank you so much for being here. Happy to be here myself. It's actually been a very interesting day, to say the least, but I am excited to be here and to get into this topic. I am. So, again, expressing my gratefulness for you listening in, and let's get into it. Okay, so before I start talking about today's topic, I want to put a little public service announcement out there and say I appreciate all the engagement. I do. It means the world to me, especially because, I've been doing this for a little minute now. So I actually feel like very invested in the success of this, and I really do just appreciate the outlet, and I appreciate the feedback because it makes it feel like a community, which is kind of hand in hand with the topic of today. So I just wanted to encourage all listeners to definitely continue to share whenever you have moments of like, this is really good. Like, I'm really enjoying this content. Definitely, one, share, of course, but also feel free to come to me with any suggestions in the social media, DMs, the commentary. I know on Spotify they have that option, or however you deem fit. I appreciate any engagement, and I like to hear like how what you hear inspires patterns of thought in you, and things that I'm thinking of. I appreciate hearing my perspective, but hearing other people's perspective on these topics will mean a lot as well, not only for me, but I think for the overall growth of this podcast. So I need you guys to help me, as much as I can help myself. So I appreciate, like I said, I definitely appreciate all the engagement thus far. Like those of you who do tell me that you are liking it, it means the world to me. It does. And I just, I like to get the raw and uncut. What is it? What are you thinking of when you first hear these things? Like, that's the type of stuff that really I think can help me find some new ways to discuss topics that clearly you guys engage with, which is ultimately the goal. So all that to say, definitely share, and also share with me your thoughts, because it goes a long way. They have rating options on the on some of these listening platforms. You can rate the podcast and give a review, even things like that. Like, it goes a long way, not only like I said, for me and helping me develop a vision for us, but as well as the metrics, because this is definitely a metrics game. And and I want to be able to reach as many people as possible, and the best way to do that is with you guys' help, for sure. So, and I can't stress that enough, because this isn't even really just about me. It's not just me talking to myself, even though for a while it felt like that. It may have felt like that for a little while, but it's not just me talking to myself. And any way that you can help me feel like that's not the case, I promise you, I appreciate it. I really do. But moving on. Today's topic is about different generations in the workplace. By the time you get to this point, you're already gonna know that. But I just wanted to make it sound dramatic because I think it is something that deserves attention, and I don't think the conversation receives enough thought often, at least when I hear it being spoken about in society. Not in everybody saying nobody thinks like this, but I just feel like more often than not, the conversation surrounding this topic is not productive. I'll put it that way. I'm hoping to generate a productive pattern of thought to anyone who's listening. And, I'm hoping that if this is something that people are interested in, to revisit the topic potentially with some guests to talk about it. Because, like I said earlier, I don't like wanting to just talk to myself. I like hearing feedback from you guys. I feel like it really adds to the conversation and the content that I can share. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic, ironically, is because of a personal experience. So I guess I can give a little bit of context. I'm not going to do too much now because it's not about me. Long story short, the topic is not about me. It's much, much bigger than me. And the experience was another reminder for me to not take things personal, which I know I struggled with in former eras of my life for sure, but that's something that I'm really trying to be intentional about. In my professional experiences, I have been in various different environments, and even in my personal experiences, that have a strong cultural presence of multiple generations. Now, I can give examples like church. I definitely grew up in church a lot. And church is definitely one of those environments that have multiple generations all functioning within one community and one body. And businesses can be the same way. Work, wherever you work at, it can be the same way if, you're talking about a workspace, workplace, like, the topic at hand. And with having multiple generations in a workplace, I've come to realize that there are tropes that are very redundant, in my opinion. And specifically addressing the tropes surrounding generational differences and how, once there's a young generation and then there's an older generation, and for whatever reason those generations are constantly in this like competition of who is the best, in a way, who has the best mindset, who's the most going to be the most accomplished, who's gonna change the world, in a way. Like how are these different generations changing the world? What changes are beneficial and what are not? There's just this constant conversation of evaluating each other, and it's just redundant. It's and I think it's so funny, especially because now that I'm an adult and I'm in the workplace and I experience these things that I used to hear about queuing when I was younger, and I didn't fully understand them, and how I used to just kind of be like, ooh, yeah, that's messy. I didn't know grown folk acted like that. And then getting to a point where I am now grown folk and I am around grown folk who be acting like that. Grown folk who be acting like that and who are carrying things around that they don't have to. And not even that they don't have to, but that they don't realize could be an opportunity point to rely on the community that you're a part of, instead of creating divisive mindsets within that culture or community to create either competition or insecurity. because of those differences. And it's just unfortunate that it is the way that it is, and that's not really where I was trying to go with that. But it's disheartening, but it's also kind of comical to me, because why y'all act like this? Why do y'all act like this? Why people? Why adults? Why must we act like children at times? Especially when it's so unnecessary. And I'll give a bit of a general storyline, I'll say that, to kind of help you guide down my thought process. But imagine being in a position as a older person, a person who is on the path towards retirement, I'll put it that way, who is working and they are towards the end of their working career. And that mindset of probably the unknown and, a new era in life that has a little less control over where things are going to go and how things will be, and what that means for them, and what those types of influences can cause that person. And then you add the individual experiences of that person, how that can shape the way that they're going to view people coming in, younger people coming in with new talents, new knowledge, can make them feel. And then you add the perspective of that younger person who comes in and is bright and has aspirations, but is also dealing with their own set of adult issues that comes with being a young adult and trying to find footing and trying to develop themselves. And especially educated, you could have financial situations that you're trying to deal with, and still trying to live your freaking life because you're young and you don't have you have the energy to do that, and you don't have responsibilities the way that an older person may have acquired. And just in the process of kind of still being a sponge and soaking up knowledge and being able to formulate new ways of thinking because of new knowledge, and how both of those parties are so valid in how they feel, yet for whatever reason, when older people don't want to extend their wisdom and their gifts and achievements and things that they can pass down, because they're not going to be holding on to these things forever. But when they aren't coveting it because they don't want the new people or the young people coming in to steal that away from them, and the young people are like, I'm just trying to figure it out. I don't need this drama. I don't even probably care that much. I don't even probably care that much. I came here to get a check, honestly, so that I can do what I want with my life, because that's necessary in this economy. And how those competing interests, instead of them allowing iron to sharpen iron, it creates this like drama in a way. It can. I'm not saying it's always like that, but when there's reluctant parties who are willing to scheme and do things to create tension and division and whatever in that community, how are people going to grow and become better? And that is just, I just wanted to talk about that because I feel like that's something that I was listening to another podcast, and someone was talking about how she was, for the Healthy Hoes podcast, love that podcast. I had to plug that in. I was like, wait a minute, I can't just fly by that podcast now. It was for the Healthy Hoes, and they were talking about I don't even remember the episode. I'm sorry, y'all, but if I remember, I'll definitely tag it below. If I find it, excuse me, when I find it, I won't say if. But they were talking about how they felt like people treated them poorly in the work environment because they were young and coming in, and I'm just like, wow, like I can relate to that. And it's unfortunate that I never really saw older people in that light, because for so long I felt like I was just so young, and I grew up respecting my elders, so that wasn't a thing for me. Wasn't looking at no older person that's I still don't, to be quite honest with you. Still don't, but you get what I mean. I wasn't in an environment where I kind of had to look at you like I gotta watch my back with this old lady. That's crazy. Like, that is crazy. And I get, from the older person's perspective, you may feel like I gotta watch my back with these young people. But the point is, it's different when you become an active participant in the problems that you complain about. People will complain about older people, but then not respect older people. People will complain about younger people, but then not respect younger people. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I know I'm not the only one who's experienced things like that. I was listening to a YouTube video that had this intro I liked. I'm going to plug that in here too, in the show notes, as well as the podcast episode. But yes, I listened to that, and he basically was just talking about how when younger people, I'm summing it up, when younger people listen to older people, they become wise because they have advanced knowledge that younger people don't have, so they become faster amongst younger people. And that when older people listen to younger people, they become wiser and faster among older people because young people have new knowledge. And how it's just important to recognize the gifts that people have, regardless of their differences from you, and recognize how all of us have a purpose. And even if I don't understand that purpose, at the very least, I'm going to give you respect. And I don't know. It just seems so simple to me, and it's unfortunate that people make it more complicated than it needs to be. But I digress, because that's besides the point. But I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. This episode isn't going to be too long. I'm really wrapping it up. Like I said, I could talk about it more, of course, but I kind of just wanted to give a teaser just to see if, like, you guys are feeling me, because I felt like this needed to be said. Like, it ain't even gotta be all that, okay? I said what I said. It ain't even gotta be all that. And if you don't know what I said, ask a young person. They know what I said. But seriously, it does not. That's the politically correct way to say that. But yeah, it does not have to require all of the drama. It doesn't. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. Like I said, I would love to talk about it more. I would love to even talk about, like, some statistics, give breakdowns of, like, the goals and breaking down the generational differences in the workplace based off of research. Like, I love doing things like that. So if that's something y'all are interested in, definitely put the commentary somewhere. I already told you, social media, I'm always checking. Definitely on the show comments that you can do on Spotify if you are a Spotify listener. The reviews on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on pretty much everything has a review page if you're wherever you're listening. And yeah, I appreciate you for being here with me, sharing this space with me. It's always a good time. Especially, it's always so funny. Like, I still have my moments where I get nervous, vulnerable moment, nervous getting on the mic, because, I can feel like I have so much to say and I don't know how it's all going to come out and make sense. And then I end up doing it. And then by the end, I'm like, woo, feels like I had a weight lifted off my chest. Like, woo, I'm glad I got that off. So yeah, I again appreciate you guys for sticking it out with me, and I'm looking forward to the next time we meet again. Until then, stay safe, stay well, and stay you. You are loved by me, if no one else, and can't wait to talk to you next time. Signing off. I just want to express my gratitude for you taking time out of your day to share this space with me. I hope this episode was meaningful and you leave feeling enriched. I appreciate you for being a part of this community of listeners. I hope you gain some fulfillment out of your day. Please do not forget to go follow us here and on all social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram at the platform LTAI podcast and Twitter at the platform LTAI. Also, share any episodes that you enjoyed with loved ones. I appreciate any help getting this community to grow. Sending positivity your way, this is your host, Jasmine, signing off. Stay safe, stay well, and farewell.